Hello, everybody. Josh from the Clearing Waivers podcast with you another week. We appreciate you joining us per usual. Tonight we are without Rance once again. Shout out Rance. We'll see you next time. But we do have Brian and Kitty per usual. How are you guys? How's the week going?
It's going
Fantastic.
Good. Excellent. Always like to hear that. Tonight we've got a Chiefs game. That Chiefs and Ravens game last night was didn't quite live up to the excitement, but I feel great about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. The Royals did close down their season. We had Alex Gordon retire, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And over in the NBA world, the NBA Finals are starting. The Heat and the Lakers, just like everybody knew it was happening. I think everybody had the Heat in there, especially us, because I think every one of us on here called it the Heats were gonna make it in there.
Totally.
Yep.
I think so.
So we'll give
Sounds
you our
familiar.
predictions of how that series is going to go down, and then we're going to get into shenanigans again. That was organic stutter. Here we go. Just get right after it.
We're clearing the waivers.
So like I said, Chiefs Ravens last night. Chiefs win 34-20 in a game that really was never really that close, barring a few good gaffes from the Chiefs special teams and Darwin Thompson in particular. But I think that after last night, it kind of left no doubt as to who was atop of the AFC at the moment. Everybody, I think even before the game there were some Baltimore Ravens beat writers that were talking about this being the most important regular season game that the Ravens have ever played at home. So Chiefs went in there and absolutely stomped them out. It was a 34-20, and like I said, not really that close either. We're probably all done with this Lamar Jackson is greater than Patrick Mahomes talk. I mean, it's answered now, right? We've put that to bed.
When someone throws for less than 100 yards, I think you can probably answer that pretty easily.
With
like 22 passes, whatever it was. I mean, he
Yeah.
had a lot of attempts to get in the 90s in yardage for passes.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep. I mean, there were some drops from, I think Marquise Hollywood Brown had a drop, but it was just a really bad night for Lamar Jackson. It seemed like he had some bad – I'm not that guy, but he had some bad body language kind of coming into that opening drive, it seemed. And then a lot of people kind of talking about him being on potential tilt for things not necessarily going his way, but we'll talk about that a little bit later probably. Let's start with this offense. Andy Reid, after 2 straight weeks of kind of being super vanilla pudding – as vanilla pudding as Andy Reid and the Chiefs go, boy, did he open up the playbook this week. I mean, there were all kind. It was football whack-a-mole for the Ravens defense. It was like, oh, I got you, and then Eric Fisher. Oh God, I didn't know I had to cover you in the red zone. Oh God, Anthony Sherman, little dipsy doodle from Patrick Mahomes on a triple fake screen again. So Brian, what else? What did you think of Andy Reid's play calling last night?
I mean, last night was football porn. Not safe for work if you're Chiefs fans. I mean, this is what we've been waiting to see. We know they're capable of doing that. Sometimes we only see this happen for a quarter. Sometimes it happens for a half. It seemed like the whole game, this offense was just humming. Like you said, distribution was great as the usual 4 or 5 skill set guys. But then, like you said, they had these wrinkles with Sherman. They had the wrinkle with Eric Fisher. And, I mean, I could see – some people could be in like, why are you giving up all your tricks, this early in the season? But this game was huge. Like we talked about, you need this 1 seed if you really want to talk about Super Bowl. And both teams played like that, or at least they came in thinking that. And I just enjoyed it so much because the pregame, like you said, they're talking up the last year's MVP, Lamar Jackson. He's ready to show it at home. They're ready to compete and be true rivals of this team. They talked about how he was tired of hearing about Patrick Mahomes questions in the pregame. How tired do you think Patrick Mahomes was of hearing about Lamar Jackson all last year while he was leading his team to a fucking Super Bowl? I think he was a little bit tired of hearing about how good Lamar Jackson was too. He had something to show.
He counted on his fingers how many he was in the NFL top 100.
And it seems like these guys really show out when they get on primetime television too. They really want to make a statement across the whole league. Like, you thought we struggled last week with the Chargers, which we did, but we're still very capable of kicking anyone's ass in this league because we're all still together. I mean,
Yeah.
they got everybody still. There's going to be years in the future, even though some guys have taken some pay cuts. We're not going to have this much talent on a team. But this team is freaking loaded, and they showed it last night. They dominated on both sides of the ball, and it was just glorious to watch. And just shut up everybody like you two dummies that said don't bet on the Chiefs last week because the Ravens had looked like a wagon. And they had really just dominated teams coming into this. Chiefs looked like they were sputtering a little bit. And, boy, did they just spin everybody's heads all around and think, oh, my God, this is terrifying.
Right. As we've seen from my best bets so far this year, don't listen to me when it comes to gambling advice. So we know that. So there you go. And if I mention any good gambling tidbits, you can just ignore my takes.
Go ahead and fade Kitty for the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, psychologically, though, I mean, you said bad body language. But after the game, Lamar Jackson said they're our kryptonite. And, my God, are we in their heads big time?
You do not want to admit that on live TV.
No, you don't.
I mean, their offense looked
rough.
Bad against
that
defense.
Like you guys mentioned, that first drive, they just ran down the throats.
Chunk plays
they were
all
opening
around.
up huge holes and just running wild. It almost seemed like they decided to scrap that offense after the first drive and try something different.
Immediately.
Kind of an odd just move off what you just did great for 10 straight plays. And then we don't need to do that anymore. We'll try something different.
It was insane.
Lamar Jackson passing a lot more times. So I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Yep.
Just kind of getting their own heads a little bit too much there on that.
Harbaugh galaxy brained it. It was, I mean, they opened the playbook. They got 6 different players that had a rush, and 11 different players were targeted. That'll do. I mean, that's certainly some solid distribution. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 25 touches for 134 total yards. I kind of went back. I wanted to see how that ranked among running backs so far as production from a running back. In fantasy PPR scoring, what number do you think CEH is currently in the running backs?
Third.
Gotta be. Yeah, it's got to be at worst 5 probably.
He is number 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very strange. I was right there with you. I thought it would be at least 5th. It seemed like he always got touches. That Chargers game kind of wore him down, but he hadn't been getting in the end zone since week 1 either.
That's a big thing.
And I think between 5 and 15, they're all spread out by maybe 5 points. So I think that's the big one that kind of is. But all that being said, Helaire was an absolute monster last night. There was a couple runs where he very much looked like Kareem Hunt. He would not go down. He would not. I mean, there was time where 6 or 7 guys were trying to put him down, and he spins out. Even the whistle blows and the play's dead. He still spins out, and he's still on the ground. I mean, by far had the dirtiest jersey, and it showed. I mean, 25 touches is a lot for one dude, especially a rookie. But I think that just shows the confidence that Andy Reid has in Helaire, especially when you try to work Darrell Williams and old Darwin Thompson into the game plan. And, I mean, Darrell Williams looked fine. Darwin Thompson did not do very good.
No.
We'll see how that adjusts moving forward. But the other big thing that I kind of took away is after having seemingly a pass rush in the backfield against the Chargers regularly, that offensive line made a statement that game.
Absolutely.
The Ravens came in with an absolute monster defense that loved to blitz. And Patrick Mahomes not sacked 1 time, only hit 4 times. And when Baltimore blitzed, Mahomes was 17 for 20 for 240 yards and 3 tutties. That's as good as you can ask from that offensive line.
Right, and it really helped that the Baltimore Ravens just kept blitzing. They just kept doing the same thing over and over again, thinking something was going to change, and it's not. And I think a huge part of that is not only Mahomes, anticipating that, reading that. It's when you have 4 guys and any one of them are capable of beating the other guy one-on-one, and that's what you're forcing them to do. Is all 4 guys in coverage have to cover their guy, great, to have a chance to even get home on that blitz. And I think, he was recognizing those blitzes so quickly last night, getting the ball out so quickly to a guy that was always ahead of his defender. I mean, it's impossible to just keep trying to do that and think something's going to change. Marcus Peters is going to figure out how to guard Tyreek Hill all of a sudden. It's just not going to happen. They just kept picking on his ass, it seemed like, all night. And even I love the Sports Center afterwards. They had Ryan Clark on to break down a play, and he basically just called out Marcus Peters for how he has bad eyes, and he's hard to have bad eyes, and they just kind of used it to their advantage to suck him up and hit Hardman over the top for that long touchdown.
Andy Reid credit for knowing what Peters is susceptible to and pointing at him, being like, we know exactly who you are. We know what you're going to do, and we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to make you look like burnt toast regularly.
Right. And they got him on that kind of a stop and go, and then he stopped and came back. Tyreek did on the sideline against him, and they just know his tendency so much, and he's just not going to change. So we're just going to keep beating you, doing the things that you refuse to change. So the picking up those blitzes were huge, and I think by now, when you watch the difference between that Chargers last week and this week, where the Ravens tried a totally different tactic as far as attacking this offense, you saw the Chargers last week get home with 4 rushers. And I think between that game and what we saw in the Niners, we talked about in the Super Bowl, they got pressure on Mahomes with just using 4 guys.
Yep.
And you can use those 7 guys in coverage. And if you got to bring extra guys, it's just not going to work against the Chiefs offense.
That's really, it's personnel. You have to have 2 elite pass rushers. That's where you start. Yep. And that's the only hope you have. And if you do hold them, you also have to score on this defense.
Yep.
So you said that before we move to the defense, I did pull out this stat that Baltimore had not allowed a 300-yard passer since Baker Mayfield did it week 4 last year. Week 3, Mahomes did it. Week 4, Baker did it. And then since then, they've been on quite a stretch. So Baltimore defense, definitely for real. But Kansas City just figured out what they needed to do. Baltimore got a little bit stuck in their ways for sure. And the rest is history. But let's talk about that defense.
And before that, big shout out when I said that offensive line, Mike Rimmers filling in at the last second at right guard. Yeah. When Wiley had appendicitis or something, I think, in the last second.
Well, they said it was a negative for appendicitis, but he was still feeling ill.
Yeah. Well, this guy, he hadn't got reps all week, and he stepped right in. And, you're reading Twitter before the game. They're like, oh, good luck to this, whoever has to fill in going against this defensive line. Well, he did pretty fucking good, so shut the hell up. And,
that's where Baltimore liked to send their pressure, was right up the gut. So, in theory, on paper, it surely makes adds like a juicy matchup, but he was certainly ready to fill in and did a great job. So
and one more thing, even though we did kind of
fine, it's your show, Brian. Jesus,
we did kind of burn some of those plays a little bit last night with the sweetness showing off on those plays. It also puts that on tape for defenses to have to pay attention to. They're not going to game plan for that Sherman underneath. They're not really going to game plan for the left tackle releasing. But what it does is it makes you hesitate for even half a second. Do I have to worry about this? And the more the more you have to think, the slower you are, and the more susceptible you are to get attacked by this insanely fast offense and the pace at which it goes.
And honestly, if you're one of these fans that thinks Andy Reid is going to run out of plays, you can go on again, because that is absurd talk. That man is a genius, and he will never run out of genius ever.
Well, we already seen what he studied, like the 1968 Rose Bowl or something for that Super Bowl play.
Little spin play. Well, they were talking to Pat in the preseason that he was working on. He was like, said he was watching tape on Favre and Marino, how they used to do that little underhand flip thing.
Oh yeah.
It's better than a little pitch because it's got more zip on it, and you certainly needed some zip because it didn't look like that was there at all until it was untouched in the end zone, and then I think that gap probably closes.
It just needs to watch how all those referees throw the ball to each other around the field.
Yep.
Zing, they always get a throw out there.
Get him some Ginny Finch.
Yeah, exactly.
So, this defense allowed 200 total yards to the Ravens offense last night. And we talked about it. The Ravens offense looked like a wagon those first 2 weeks. 228 yards is actually the lowest since week 11 of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. So they've been a hot offense ever since then, except for last night. 4 sacks, 5 quarterback hits per Pro Football Focus. They generated 23% of the times the Lamar Jackson dropped back. So I guess is the tape out on Lamar Jackson? Did the Chiefs just have the right personnel, the right system? it seemed like once they started getting that pressure from the outside in, it kind of contained Lamar a little bit more. And once that's a safety blanket. Like once that's gone, he's panic mode, I think.
Yeah, and I was a little worried when we saw that first drive, how easily they drove down the field, just basically running it right down our throats, even though they were attacking the edges a lot. It was more of what we're accustomed to seeing from that offense. And, I said in the chat that Dan Sorensen was going to do a better job getting off tight end blocks, and Neiman looked poor trying to come up and support the run. And so I do think that part of it was the Ravens doing us a favor by trying to throw the ball when they were going to have more success, I think, running it. But once they started doing that, you started seeing pressure from Chris Jones up the middle, and he's just pushing them to those ends that seemed to consistently set that edge around the outside. When he did drop back and try to scramble a little bit, Taco Charlton, Frank Clark, they'd run with him. And I couldn't love it more the time Chris Jones ran him down and made him fumble going out of bounds, because Lamar totally underrated his speed of catch up. He by no means is he faster than Lamar, but he definitely underrated Chris Jones's closing speed on that sideline play. And so I was so impressed with Chris Jones that night. Anthony Hitchens made a huge play on that screen. He made some great plays for this defense, and that we haven't really seen a whole lot of. It seemed like they really avoided Tyrann Mathieu a lot. I just saw someone point that out on Twitter today, that they basically went away from him anytime they had the opportunity, which I totally get. He's a ball hawk you want to stay with. And, we lost L'Jarius Sneed, which has been balling out.
Did we get an injury update on him? Was it collarbone officially?
I think it's collarbone, but I don't know if they've officially said what it was. But the fact that they were already down with Breland, those cornerbacks really stepped up. I think the Ravens helped us out with plenty of drops, like you said. Mark Andrews helped us out with a couple of drops that he's not going to do a lot of times. And so, between just the bad offense and then making mistakes like that on the drop passes, it was a rough night for their offense, and I couldn't get enough of it.
The linebacker really showed out. Considering how bad that they've looked in the last 18 weeks, whatever you want to call it, I really thought that was going to be a weak point against that Ravens offense. It didn't seem like they could have a chance at keeping up with whether it be Dobbins or Ingram or even Gus Edwards, who that guy is killing me in my fantasy team, but nobody cares. I know.
Damian Wilson had a nice game.
He did.
He made a couple of nice plays.
So good Tedrick Thompson sightings in there that were really, really good and really, really, really at that point. But Breland should be at, I think, 4 weeks, right, is his suspension. So he should be back week 5. We'll keep an eye on L'Jarius Sneed. But, this defense is for real. And I cannot get enough of the chips that they seem to wear on their shoulders so often. Even if it's just like they noticed at the pregame, all the analysts, the experts all went Ravens. At postgame, it was floating around all of their social medias. They were and I think that that's been a day one thing. When Matthew came in, when Frank Clark came in, they both were kind of taking it personally that they were considered a one man show type of thing. Pat Mahomes was the only game in town. And I think that they kind of took that personally. And I think that's only, I can't really see that getting any better at this point. It's still Patrick Mahomes' team. Everybody outside of Kansas City just wants to talk about Patrick Mahomes. And this defense is very, very much capable of doing special things when the right time comes along.
Absolutely.
So
and it's funny you should mention special things, because I got a little it's not a letter so much as a please report to my office. And I would like Andy Reid to have the special teams coach Dave Tobe please report to my office. And I would like them to bring him in and sit him down and say, listen, you son of a bitch, I'm looking on this field and I'm watching my offense dominate. I'm watching my defense dominate. I don't need your tricky shit out here on kickoff teams where you intentionally pooch it short so that you can maybe tackle the guy on the 20 rather than the 25. We don't need that. Yep. You have one of the strongest leg kickers in this league. Boot it out of the back of the end zone every freaking time and trust our other two units to dominate this game. We don't need that shit. And you're trying that shit against John Harbaugh, which got a head coaching job because he was so good on special teams.
9 years under Andy Reid as a special teams coordinator.
You're trying to prove how smart you are by doing this bullshit, and I don't need it.
Yep.
I'm not going to let you ruin this team. And I was so mad at halftime that score should have been dominant.
Yeah, 20-3.
God damn it. I was so mad at Dave Tobe just doing that bullshit. And I know, he's got maybe he defends it by saying, well, guys, get bored with just kicking off touchbacks every time. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. We're trying to win games, and the special teams is just there if you need it. And we clearly didn't need you that night. So just stay out of the way and let us do our things. Stop fucking us
really,
up.
what are you trying to prove at that point? Like, that your scheme is doing something? Would you rather, like, your scheme, you try something new and it fails, or would you rather have Andy Reid being like, Dave Tobe, he's your man for a head coaching gig?
I don't know.
I would rather have the personal reference from Andy Reid talking me up, to be honest. But
I mean, he can do his cute shit on the punt team stuff.
Yeah.
Just focus on that. All I want
Chiefs
on
are never gonna
kickoff
punt
is
again.
just touchbacks.
Yeah. That the kickoff prior to the returned touchdown, Duvernay took it at the 8, returned it to the 34.
Mm-hmm.
So that should have been a warning shot.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, maybe it's not worth it. I mean, you lost 9 yards. That's just another 9 yards.
Yep, exactly.
So I don't know. The other part of the special
and especially
teams,
when you're no longer getting a running start on the special teams,
right?
Yeah. Still on that takes. I feel like that alone is worth probably 5 yards for the return team if you leave it inbounds.
Yeah,
they just cannot get down there as quick as they used to.
I need someone who likes to analyze special teams to tell me how much it actually benefits teams to kick it in with before it gets to the end zone, and see if it actually matters, or if they they just do away with the kickoff entirely. Let's be real here. Everyone starts at 25 from now on.
I'm totally fine with that.
Let's just do that. That's fine. The other part of special teams, Harrison Butker, after being the hero, the top of the world, might have listened to the love a little bit too much. He missed his only field goal attempt from 42 yards, and he did miss a PAT, but he got the other 4. So maybe something to keep an eye on. Obviously, we're not kicking butt kicker off the team, but certainly he's had better nights. So I guess that's all I had. Did you guys have anything else on the Chiefs-Ravens last night?
Nope.
No. The Chiefs got New England this week. I believe it's a nooner.
Might be a 3 o'clock game. It's a national,
maybe a 3 o'clock
afternoon game, probably.
Yeah,
so I think possibly. I didn't check exactly, but I thought maybe it was the 3.
We'll figure it out. It's fine. Seems like they could probably keep that same game plan for Cam Newton potentially. The Patriots look like they do a lot of the same thing that the Ravens do as far as personnel and scheme wise. But we'll see. If you need a little bit more breakdown of that, I'd suggest going checking out the Arrowhead Laboratory per usual. Our friend Craig Stout is Maddie Lane and Ken Swanson do great stuff there. So go check out Arrowhead Pride regardless to get your Chiefs fixed. Let's move on to the Royals season reactions. They ended the year, I believe, 24-36.
Was it 24 and a half, the over-under?
I believe that was.
25, right around there.
And it only took them needing to go 6 of 8 to get to that point at the end of the year.
Amazing.
But let's start with the Alex Gordon retirement here. 14-year career, 3-time All-Star, 7 Gold Gloves, 1 Platinum Glove. Ended the career with a 748 career OPS. That is way higher than I thought. But maybe I'm just remembering bad plate Gordo. He does end up with 121 hit by pitches, which is 56 all time. That's an interesting little stat I had on him. 7th in all time WAR for the Royals. So I think at this point he's got to have a statue. Yeah. He's probably earned that. Statue, maybe at least a retired number, if not a statue.
I retired number before I'd give him a statue, probably, but I don't know. I mean, the problem is, like, a lot of times show him making a crazy catch or something on that statue, because that's really aside from the home run he hit against
The home run, the
the World
home run
Series.
rounding first with his finger in the air is got.
That could be it.
Well, they showed that. I don't know if you saw the videos from inside the locker room when they put his logo and his number above the locker that's going to stay there forever. And
Yep.
it's actually
Okay.
a badass logo.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
very close to like Jordan's.
Yep.
His legs are apart and he's got his number 1 in the air. I mean, it is a badass logo that he should take that and run with it, I think.
But yeah, I think at this point, I mean, he's definitely one of the, obviously the 7th best Royal of all time in WAR. Career with the Royals completely. I think, I mean, there's not that many guys that can actually say that. So I think that's also a very big part of it. But I mean,
I think that the biggest part is being a lifelong Royal. He's all that value, and he was very significant in the Royals winning a title.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about statues and that kind of stuff, that's the trifecta, I think, that makes you a hero.
Yes.
and it puts you on that level, even though maybe he's not, a legendary type player to anybody else. To Royals fans, he should be a hero.
I can certainly live with that. I was going to make another point.
Well, we've all been trying to nudge him into retirement for the past few years.
That's basically
right. Yeah, that was kind of the thing, because after he signed those last 5 years have not been much to write home about.
Not
so
great.
It's been kind of a bittersweet way to end your career with your team like that, when you just haven't been playing up to what you did when you helped lead the team to the title.
Yeah.
And especially when it was so obvious that he had lost about 5 steps, not just 1 step running.
Right.
I mean, he still had instincts for days to run down, and he still got nice grades on range and factors like that. But
cannon, he had absolute cannon on his arm.
You could tell that his speed, he wasn't really known for his speed before, but he definitely lost some steps. And so it was, when it was hard to watch the plate and hard to watch him run, then it was like, I want to remember you running around first base, blowing a bubble
Right.
and winning titles. I don't want to remember these terrible at-bats, but
yeah.
Right.
And, I mean, he still will have the sweetest swing / follow-through that I've seen on a Royal, I think. I loved smooth. Just he ended it like Ken Griffey almost whenever he gets into it. I'll always remember the swing as well. But
I would also think that AL catchers are probably glad to see him, because nobody hits more catchers on his follow-through than him.
Yep.
Seemed like he was apologizing to the catcher every 3 games.
Yep. You're going to have to
Poor
buy
guys.
him a new catcher gear to make up for what he's done.
Yeah.
But obviously, happy retirement to Alice Gordon. We don't have Rance here to talk his shit that he would inevitably do. But it's undeniable. Gordo is a Royals legend in Kansas City, and he'll forever be that way. It'd be nice to see him on the bench at some point with a coaching position. But if that's not the case, then give me at least one time where he gets to come enjoy a standing ovation from the crowd, because Lord knows he deserves that. But let's move on to kind of our season in review. We're going to go through kind of our negatives and our positives of what we kind of saw from the Royals here, starting with the negatives. We're going to start with the bad stuff first. So, Kitty, let's go with your negative here. What's your negative that you kind of pulling out of this?
There are just some absolute zeros on offense. I'm not even going to mention my number one nemesis so far.
You're not?
Home of the future betting with Brian Kaiser for OPS. But Nicky
750.
Lopez put up a 552 OPS.
Sure did. Yep.
Bubba Starling in 35 games, a 456 OPS. I mean, you're just running out that's just awful.
Not good.
I mean, I understand the shortened season, so maybe you could catch a hot streak here for some games, but my word, I mean, they've got to figure something out to replace these guys, some really big offensive holes.
Figure something out. I mean, it seems
you can't just keep running. You can't run those. I don't really want to see them run those 2 guys out there every game again next year. Just
between Starling and Nicky, or Nicky and Mondesi?
Nicky and Starling. Mondesi,
okay.
kind of hot as could be in September.
Whew.
Maybe something clicked for him only thing, and that's all we got is hope at this point with him.
Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't fill up. Hopefully the hope in the one hand fills up before the shit in the other next season. So
Well, kind of to that, it sounded like Matheny was incredibly impressed with Nicky Lopez's defense at second base, kind of praising him that he needed to be the Gold Glove winner this year. And Nicky did play a really good defense. He led the AL in defensive runs saved by second baseman.
Right.
But he was also fifth in the UZR per 150. So his metrics are pretty solid. I think he can make a pretty solid case for earning a Gold Glove this year. And that's really what I think he's a gamer. I think he does like small things really good. I think he's a little bit of a spark plug, but boy, it cannot happen. That's furthermore, it seemed like, especially in the beginning of the year, he kept coming up with runners in scoring position. Every time, it seemed like every game he'd have at least the bases loaded 1 point in the game. He hit 179 with runners in scoring position this year. 179. I doubt his ceiling as a guy who doesn't generate much power. His MO coming into the league was a guy who does not strike out. He gets on base. He does all the small things correctly. He plays great defense. He runs the bases really well. 552 is unacceptable. I don't care.
Right.
I mean, even during Alex Gordon's shitty plate and Gold Gloves, he was at 600 at least. So we cannot have 552. Cannot have
it. And at least he actually he draws walks at least. So there's at least he does seem to have some sort of
kinda.
I mean, he's got 201 batting average of 286 on base. I mean, that's 85 points of on base. That's pretty solid.
Fine.
What the fuck are you looking for, Josh? The guy's a slap hitting second baseman. You want him to have a 200 on base out of his average? I mean, he's not Joey Votto out there.
People were bringing him up as potentially having like a 3% strikeout rate and a 15% walk rate, and that is not what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
He did
15% walk and 3% strikeout rate. Who's going to be pulling that off?
His AAA numbers were close to that.
That's craziness.
He only had like 30 strikeouts in his last year at Omaha, something like that. I mean, he just tore Omaha pitching up, and that's not necessarily happening here. But, I mean, there could be some projectability in there. Back to Mondesi for a quick second. For the first 6 weeks, he had a 470 OPS. So as much as we're saying Nicky Lopez at 552 is unacceptable, 470 from Mondesi, who's supposed to be breaking out this year, who's usually generally hitting at the top of the lineup, if not like the 5 or 6 spot, 470. Unacceptable. No. After that, though, he hit 11-13. So let's see more of that, or maybe a little bit closer to the 800s. I'll take that.
Yeah,
lead the league in stolen bases, 800 OPS. Is that too much to ask?
You'd hope not.
Just go be a superstar MVP candidate.
That's right.
Please. Brian, you got a negative?
The big negative, I think, looking back on this one this year was just the unfortunate timing of missing so many major guys on this team. It seemed like Whit Merrifield was the only guy that remained the entire season, and all the other basically best players on this team missed significant time. And you could just tell a huge difference in the lineup and the pitching rotation when you got Brad Keller back. Huge difference when you get Salvi back, when you get Dozier back, when you get all those guys on the same time. You can live with Nicky Lopez hitting like shit in the 9-hole if you got 1 through 7 hitting really well that are dangerous. Michael Franco did everything that they could have wanted him to do this year, and that when everybody was together, I think this team was very competitive and they looked completely different. So I think it just kind of shitty luck this year as far as that goes. When I watch the team play every day, it's not like they were a laughing stock by any means and just making terrible mistakes and stuff like we've seen from bad Royals teams in the past. So, I mean, it gives me hope. It's kind of I don't know if it's a true negative, but it was certainly a big factor. And when you look at the final record, I think it was just games lost by all your best players.
Yep.
Especially the way Salvi was hitting this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Losing him 20 games because his eye got whatever happened to his eye this year.
That freak thing.
Led the team in WAR despite that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And those are the two negatives I had were those two players in general. I had Mondesi and Nicky Lopez, but I didn't throw Starling in there. I don't know if I count him as part of the future, but
Right, that's true too.
but yeah, the other one was the unfortunate timing. The little nuggets I pulled out of here. Salvi only played in 37 games, still led the team in WAR. Keller, by the time he came back, did his quarantine, came back, they were already 3-10.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough to dig out. Dozier came back 3 days later and started. I mean, it took him a little while to get jump started. Keller just came right in and started doing things.
Yeah, he was
So
doing good.
I was very happy with what Keller did, but just having the timing. I mean, the Cardinals, they missed out on 2 games in the end of it, and they're in the playoffs. So it just kind of sucks that they kind of started changing those potential outbreaks a little bit differently, started handling them a little differently at the time. And the other one is Jesse Hahn, missed the first week or two. So he obviously came back, started just throwing lights out in the bullpen, and that certainly made a difference too. So if you put all 4 of those guys in that lineup regularly, I got to think they win at least 2 more games, 3 more games, maybe.
Probably, yeah. Because I mean, especially with Keller getting 3 more starts, more than likely in that first stretch of 13.
Yep. Let's see. I think I was looking at their record against the White Sox. They won 1 game.
Wasn't it? It was 1-9.
1-9.
1-9, right? Yeah.
So they
Yikes.
were. What does that make them? 23-27 against all the other teams.
Yeah.
So if you if you have some of the 3 of those games were before Keller got back and they were not a full staff, but I mean, like Brian said, it seems like a little bit of a hopeful season. It seems like we're saying this every damn year, though, especially come off like a hot September. We always like, well, maybe next year, and then nothing changes. So we'll see. I mean, I think it depends largely on Aldebrando Mondesi. I think that really does a lot of pressure rests on his shoulders about taking that next step forward as both a player and as a team. So let's go through the positives here. I'm going to start mine. The obvious one is that the young pitching staff. Brady Singer came on, 4.06 ERA with a 1.17 WHIP. 1.17 WHIP is nothing to bat your eye out. That's
Yeah, that's good.
That's really, really good, especially for a rookie that has not pitched above AA. Bubic came on, 4.32 ERA with a 1.48 WHIP. You'd like to see that WHIP a little bit down, but I mean, the fact that he hadn't played above high A is really resounding as well. Carlos Hernandez got some run. Josh Staumont was wowing people. If you still count Kyle Zimmer, he pitched really, really well. Zuber, I can't think of the other one I had. I always forget his name. But yeah, the young pitching. I mean, it's gonna come down. That's what the next wave of contention is gonna rely on, is that those arms, whether they're homegrown or whether they're used to go get another bat or something. It's going to be very important for them to perform and bring value to this team. So it's 2 of them kind of jumping out to it. Daniel Lynch and Jackson Kowar, Ace Lacy, those 3 dudes might have higher ceilings than Bubic and Singer. So to see Singer and Bubic stuff come up here and play, very encouraging to me.
Absolutely.
That was my big positive of the year. You guys got anything?
Well, adding on that with, I mean, Singer 8.5 strikeouts per 9 and 3.2 walks. I mean, 8.5 Ks per 9 is pretty solid for a young man to put up there the first rookie season.
Yep.
So I mean, he didn't come out of the gates too great either. So
no,
he really he obviously took some lumps early and learned along the way. So that's also nice to see too.
Yep.
When a young guy does go through the ringer a little bit and comes out on the other side looking better. Yeah. So it's always, I just like something you can see where that guy's got maybe more potential than you would ever possibly may have thought at the beginning. So
yep.
I like
Everybody
that.
kind of called him maybe a lower end of the rotation or maybe even a bullpen piece. But I mean, he's looking more like maybe a 3 at that point.
Right.
But yeah, anything else, other positives? Salvi?
Like you touched on, besides just the young pitchers and the pitch rotation, I mean, it happens all the time where you bring those guys up as quickly as they did, and they get beat around for the first year.
Yes.
And you're starting to question the legitimacy of these guys. And those 2 specifically, continuously got better as they went on at the major league level.
Yep.
By the end, Bubic and Singer were going out there and they were showing dominant stuff. And it's nice to see when you read, reports from Keith Law that says Brady Singer can't get out left-handed batters, and he just did it it's a 60-game season, but he just did it really well in the 60-game season.
Appreciate the reminder. Forgot about that.
I think the one thing we all said was a huge letdown last year was the bullpen. And the bullpen, when they got it figured out who were the pieces going to be this year, they were lights out. They had a handful of guys that just shut the door on teams.
Yep.
And even when you traded away Rosenthal, I mean, Greg Holland was really good all year. Ian Kennedy kind of got beat around, but other than that, I mean, those guys they had like dominant numbers if you look over the course of the year. And so if you guys keep that train going in the right direction, if you can really rely on the bullpen, you like your chances going in there knowing there's still young arms to come up and add to that rotation. And finally, let's touch a little bit of offense. Salvi having a huge year coming off all that time off last year, coming off Tommy John surgery. He just crushed the ball. And they kind of talked about as the season went on that even in past years when Salvi has rest, he seems to hit the ball a lot better. And as the dog days of summer gets, his bat kind of goes away.
Yep.
And so what I take away from this is we talked about, potentially as Salvi gets older and we're looking at extending him to a different contract, playing a lot more games at first base and DH. And I think he's shown that this year his bat is absolutely good enough to play in that role. And you're kind of worried that it's not going to be based on years that he plays 155 games behind the plate. You say, well, that bat's probably not good enough for DH first base. Well, he showed this year, if he gets rested, he can be absolute masher at the plate and absolutely be worthy of continuing as a leader of this young team, even if he's playing half the games at catcher and half the games elsewhere. If you can keep that bat fresh and anywhere near the dominance that he showed this year, I mean, absolutely sign me up for that for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yep. And he gets a statue, and we call it good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he's getting a statue.
Oh, yeah.
The days of him behind the plate, I think 140 games should not even get nowhere near that anymore.
Not even close, yeah. And hopefully they don't have to because, I mean, maybe Valoria has shown a little bit of spunk. And then I've heard the reports saying MJ Melendez at the alt site this year made a lot of good leaps forward. He was always really, really good defensively. So it could come to a point. Cam Gallagher, I think, is out of options.
So he gone.
He had a solid season for himself, but yeah, he did be long for the team anyway.
I think I saw that he's like maybe 4th or 5th in positional WAR.
Really,
this season? That may not be right, but
that could be.
When he got time, he did play pretty well.
Yeah, I'd rather have an exciting young player playing that. If we're going to start part timing Salvi, I don't want Gallagher getting half the starts behind plate.
Well, I'm curious to see what happens to the Royals off season this year. It may be still too early to kind of expect them to make a big splash. I got an article coming up on a Royals Review talking about potentially some out of the organization options they could go check out. But it may be asking too much to kind of do it this offseason. Potentially next offseason we'll have some more holes to fill. I don't think they'll extend Soler. And then we'll see what they do with Duffy. I think those two and Salvi are the ones coming up, and those are the decisions they're going to have to make. So I think after next season they'll have some more holes to fill and need some more impact bats. So I want to see what happens in the outfield, how that shakes out with Witt and Franchi and Olivares and Lynch. And not Lynch, Isbell and Khalil Lee, to name some other ones. But it could be a very exciting, very athletic outfield, but we'll see how it goes. It's going to be Jackie Bradley.
100%.
Yep. But, yeah, watch out for that article. It should be coming out probably tomorrow, same time as this episode. We'll see. You can probably check out RoyalsReview.com to check that out. But let's stick in the MLB. The postseason's underway. Today was the first action of the first round. Some juicy matchups. I need some quick juicy matchups. What are you guys looking for? Which games are you most excited about in this first round, Kitty?
I was kind of looking at White Sox versus Oakland for myself, kind of maybe off the board one, just because the young, exciting players of Chicago.
Yep.
The White Sox already came up, just made an impact this year. I think you touched on it probably before the year started, where we kind of looked at this team as possibly still maybe 1 year away, and it's this year, maybe right now whenever they're ready.
wakey.
And I mean, and then apparently they are also now with today's win, 15-0 versus left-handed starters this season.
That's healthy.
So if your team relies on left-handed starters in the playoffs, could be in trouble. And today we got the first game was against the lefty for Oakland. But I was kind of surprised. I kind of really thought Oakland had better pitching this year, but then I looked at the numbers today and because outside of Bassett, really didn't have a whole lot of starting pitching. So they were just relying on their bullpen to clean up games.
I think I saw that their bullpen ERA was like number one in the
it was number one
league, right?
Yeah. So, but that kind of interesting, kind of not your normal two teams to be playing each other in the playoffs. So I kind of want to see some White Sox in Oakland.
True. Brian's probably grinding your gears. So I know you hate the White Sox.
Yeah. I mean, I hate that the A's are missing Matt Chapman too, because he's such a good hitter for that team. And
great defender as well.
Yeah, I shouldn't hate the White Sox as much as I do, because they are a fun young team to watch. But god dang it, they don't piss me off.
Totally fine with me.
It's a division rival, and those teams can just piss you off even just by existing, even though all the 25 guys you hated 6 years ago were all gone. You can still hate that team with as much as you did then.
Yeah, Pierzynski.
Yeah, he'll never. White Sox never live that down.
White-haired psycho. Brian, what matchup? If you're not liking the White Sox, what matchup are you looking for this first round?
I kind of excited maybe to see this Marlins Cubs series. This Marlins rotation is very fun. It seems like all those guys can bring the heat. They're all upper 90s to 100, and you're going against those veteran bats with the Cubs. I don't know how much the Cubs can trust their starting pitching on their end.
Yeah, day.
I don't know how much the Marlins lineup is really going to scare them. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, because the baby Marlins are brand new to this. The Cubs by now have been doing this for about 5 years or so, but in playoff hunt and experience to this. So I'll be interested to see that dynamic of the young babies against the experienced team, and see how that starting pitching matches up against that dangerous lineup that the Cubs have.
Yep. I like that. Marlins making it. I mean, I was hand up. I had no idea they were close contention until they clinched. I was like, what? They clinched? When the hell did that happen?
I guess they got the great break early in the year when they were like 8-3, and then they had to shut down for 2 weeks. They saved themselves a little bit maybe there.
Right, and I think it helped them too. They played a ton of double headers, and we talked about it earlier. When you shorten these games to 7 and you have really good starting pitching, you're going to get at least five innings out of those guys. So then you're looking at 4 relievers the entire day for a doubleheader.
Right.
Yeah. You can manage that if you got a good pitching staff,
a young pitching staff. Yeah,
that's right.
The one matchup. I mean, I think the whole American League slate is juicy. I think it's got a lot to watch. But my number one matchup is the Baby Braves versus the Reds.
Yep.
The Reds entered the postseason on an 11-3 record in their last 14, and I just love the Baby Braves in general.
I do too.
I mean, it's a really tough matchup, I think, for both teams.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be the juiciest matchup. They start off tomorrow. Really looking forward to that series here. So let's get in the meat potatoes here. What's everybody's World Series prediction? Start with Brian.
I think you gotta go with the Dodgers, right? They're the favorites for a reason.
Right.
They're plus 350 to win it all.
Yeah,
they've got the rotation that you want going into a postseason with Kershaw, Dustin May, Walker Buehler. They've got a dominant lineup with Mookie Betts, Corey Bellinger. Corey Seager's had a great year.
Yes.
And he has.
You look at the standings, their average run differential this year was plus 2.3 per game.
Yeah, I saw that. They're 136 on the year.
Number 2 on the list, it goes from 2.3 runs to 1.4. That is a large gap when you're talking about average run difference per game. That was the Padres. Kitty's Padres coming in number 2, plus 1.4 per game. But, I mean, they seem to find a way to collapse every year, don't they? But
True.
they have all 3 phases of the game you want to see as far as like starting pitching. They have a really good bullpen. They have an awesome lineup.
Stacked lineup, yeah.
And they play really good defense too. So I mean, it's possible. And in this year's setup, that you prefer this. I mean, they're in a 3-game series right now that is dangerous as hell.
Yes.
Anything can happen in a 3-game series. They're going against the Brewers, which don't really scare you on paper, but any team can get hot 2 out of 3 games.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Your pitcher just has an off day. One of your good pitchers has an off day. It happens all the time. And you're in a 3-game series. 1 game means so much more than.
I think you want to catch a team like the Dodgers in a 3-game series over a 7-game all day, every day.
1,000,000%. Yep.
So I think there's a chance they get knocked off early, but if you're just talking about any team can get knocked off early, but
100%.
Give me the team that was dominant for those 60 games and has dominating players all around the field.
Didn't even mention Dustin May in that rotation.
Yeah, I did.
Breakdown.
He did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well,
Kyler Murray
loses
loses yards when he deals.
I've heard that. Kitty, we talked about your Padres potentially being also very good. I think they're at plus 1,000. That's your bet, or you got another one you're going towards?
I mean, if I'm looking at all the teams around them, I got to think I'm taking the Padres at 1,000.
Yeah.
I love those Padres. The Nelson Lamet that dude just brings the heat too.
Unbelievable.
Impressive to watch.
Yep.
And they've got some other Tatis leading off. I mean, he was actually pretty bad the last month of the year.
Sure. But he was just off the charts good in the first 6 weeks.
Month. Yeah, so that's just going to be, I think, and they're just they were doing every time I feel like I watch them, someone hits a home run, they're in the dugout dancing, having just a great time.
Uh-huh.
They don't need the fans as much to get them going. They were revved up all year, so I kind of like the Padres quite a bit.
It really sucks that they're potentially matching up in the second round.
Yep.
Yeah,
that
would
sucks.
be the Padres Dodgers. But I mean, my most hated team is the Cardinals. I'm sure they'll take out my Padres.
It'll be
Jack Flaherty and Wainwright will pitch complete game shutouts, and it'll be over.
Yeah.
I think I saw a tweet today that said, give us the World Series that 2020 deserves. Give us the Cardinals versus the Yankees. I did hear that Mike Clevenger pitched a bullpen today and everything went well. So maybe he can get some innings pitched there. That was the big acquisition of the trade deadline.
Yep.
Right.
So we'll see if he gets some innings in.
Who you got, Josh?
I mean, I wrote down, if it was my real money, I would obviously put Dodgers plus 350. I would put $100 on the Dodgers for plus 350, and I would probably sprinkle about $50 on the Padres at plus 1,000 and the Braves at a plus 1,100. I think both of those teams could get scorching hot and just run through the playoffs pretty easily. I also had here the Twins, but I think I'm gonna
since they're 17 straight losses. Oh
yeah,
my! They don't
go ahead and erase that.
They really can't get out of their own way. It's
Not
impressive how they keep. I mean, and today they had that. They had the game. They just a really bad defensive error late in that game.
Yep.
Just take a split second more to set your feet, throw the ball second base, and get the out. I mean, just rushes the throw, and they just can't help but try to lose games. That's 17 100%. Straight losses in the postseason.
Haven't won a game since Joe Mauer's rookie year.
How? I
saw that tweet right before we started recording.
I don't understand how you lose 17 straight games in the postseason. I mean, I guess I do as a Bengals fan, but it just doesn't make sense in baseball that you would lose 17 straight baseball games in a row. I mean, you've made the postseason. You're a really good team in baseball. You've got to have at least one pitcher you think that can get you a complete game or do dominant start, but that's crazy.
Yes, it is.
It's one thing to do it as a baseball team. It's quite another to do it as a Bengal. That's a little different. That's a little different. So yeah, I think what we've shown on this podcast is that our bets are really, really good. So feel free to go out and get some action. Tomorrow, every team plays. Every team in the postseason plays.
It's like
It'll be
March
a little
Madness.
like March Madness. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Maybe you need to take the day off and hit a bar or something. But I had my desk going today. I was working. Shout out to our place of work, but I did have my phone on one game, my tablet on another, and my TV on another. So I had all three rolling at the same time. It was very March Madness-y like, and tomorrow's going to be even more so. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Last thing for clearing the waivers, when we started about an hour ago, we're going to quickly give you some NBA Finals predictions. Like we said, the Lakers are squaring off. Yeah, I guess we'll just go jump in what our predictions are. I didn't put any bets on here, so I'm just saying what team and how many games. I'm going to start off because I'm the dumbest one when it comes to NBA basketball. It's going to be a Lakers in 4. Lakers have already beat 3 teams that are better than the Heat on their track through the Western Conference, in my opinion, my dumb opinion. So I think the Lakers take it in 4. It's a matchup nightmare per usual, and that's what I got. So, Brian, where are you at? Lakers in 4.
Lakers in 4. Well, I could definitely see that happening. But, I mean, this Heat team is really hot right now, and they're bombing it from deep. So I could see them getting hot for a game and maybe stealing one. But, I got Lakers in 5. I just think the length will be too much, and the defensive prowess that the Lakers can clamp down on them. I think the Heat are going to look ugly in the games that they don't win. I think they'll be hot and look good. It seemed like the Lakers this playoffs have looked bad for a game per series, so I could see that continuing. But at the end of the day, I think Anthony Davis is going to be too much for the Heat, and I think he's taking home the MVP.
I think that's fair. Kitty?
I wrote down Lakers in 6. I mean, we all talked
Clean
about it.
sweep.
They've got the best 2 players, so they've got 1 and 2. I mean, the Heat probably have the next best 3 or 4, but just it's so much to deal with LeBron and AD. It's just then, like you said, matchup nightmare. Who guards? It's so hard to guard both those. It's so hard to guard both those guys. I mean, you got Adebayo can play probably on AD, and that's actually one of their decent advantages, or at least a matchup. It's not terrible for the Heat because Adebayo's got some quickness to him, so he can actually guard Davis outside a little better than most teams can.
And I think the problem will be there is because Anthony Davis is like to shoot the 3 this whole playoff. If he pulls him out of the lane, you've got LeBron freight train to the rim. I mean, Jimmy Butler's a fine defender, but is he about 50 pounds less than LeBron?
Right. If you pull Adebayo out front, then you get a bunch of lanes open up for cutting. So it could be tough.
It'll be trouble.
Well, we believe in the Lakers, not so much the Heat, but I mean, I always love me a good Cinderella team. So
they're fun to watch, man.
I'm just glad it's not the Celtics. I wish bad things on the Boston fan base for the next 20 years. They've gotten too much love.
They've won several titles, so
they don't need any more.
The Lakers betting odds are -372 to win the series.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, at that point, you just take some Heat money line games and hope they steal a couple and playing around.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, there was an NHL champion crown, Tampa Bay Lightning. Shout out.
Sure, there was.
It was last night, right? So they owned, the first time I heard about it was in the Scott Van Pelt Sports Center when they were like right after the game.
The Chiefs
really did really good against the Ravens. Hey, also the Lightning won, so shout out to Lightning. But back to the Chiefs and Ravens.
What bad timing! I mean, this is inevitable, right? We cramped all these sports together, and playoffs are all happening at the same time.
Once you put hockey together with NFL started already, and the NBA is happening, and then baseball players are about to start, NHL is going to get lost in the shuffle in America.
I mean, your best bet was to somehow get the deciding game on tonight, on Tuesday night, in between Monday Night Football and the NBA Finals tipping off. But it's impossible to kind of predict that. So
hate to see it.
Shout out to the Lightning. We certainly care about your title. We promise.
Oh, yeah.
On to the shenanigans. We're going to skip DFA. We're going to get into some waiver watch waiting game. 3-way waiver watch waiting game.
Waiver watch waiting game.
Waiver Watch waiting game.
And I think I've got the winning record on this game so far. I haven't quite figured that out. I think I lost the last time, but
I
I
think
believe
so.
I'm 3-1 in this when I play.
You're out of your mind.
So I'm going to go first with my pick. And I had a different strategy. I think you guys had me figured out. I started looking at really low movies, and I went a different way. This time I just started with Baby Goose, and I started going down the line.
Well, that's your first mistake.
When you think of
picking Baby, you think I haven't studied this guy's Rotten Tomatoes?
I can't wait because I picked The Notebook, and I can't wait for your pulse. What do you thought The Notebook got from the Rotten Tomatoes critics? I cannot wait.
All right, I'm down.
Let's start with Kitty, since you're ready to.
Shocking development. I have never seen The Notebook.
That is shocking.
I'm not quite the Ryan Gosling completist I make myself out to be.
Not a lot of Mickey Mouse Club viewings either.
No, not of that either. I saw the picture.
Not even on his Rotten Tomatoes page, by the way.
Ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
So I thought this was probably pretty well received. So I went with 83%.
Ooh, okay. Brian?
This love story takes my mind right to a 69.
Okay. Can't imagine why.
Fresh.
It is not fresh.
What?
Whoa.
How about that?
How about it?
Kitty, you got real close to the audience score. Audience gave it an 85. Wow. You almost got there.
Critics are assholes.
Critics gave it a 53.
Man, that's tough.
Not a lot of Alzheimer's fans in the critics population, apparently.
Jesus.
That's probably because it's too close to home for him.
What's the problem with
critics?
I really don't know.
Coming at you hot there, critics.
I mean, my God. It wasn't like it was horrendous acting or anything.
Right.
The storyline was fine.
Good storyline, yeah. Based off a novel, which those Slanskys usually love.
Oh, God. They didn't do the book justice.
Maybe not. Maybe you got a lot of Jordan Sparks in that community. So Brian is in the lead right now. You're going to give us your movie next, movie or show.
All right. I saw this movie going around on the movie channels here recently, so I watched it for the first time in years. From 2002, M. Night Shyamalan's Signs. With Mel Gibson, a young Joaquin Phoenix, Rory Culkin, young
Abigail Breslin. She was creepy as shit.
I mean, swing away, Merrill.
Swing away, Merrill. All right. I've written down my score.
All right. So Josh hasn't guessed yet. Let's go to him first.
I think it was right. This is probably the last movie that critics were still on board with him, but it was kind of starting to fade, I think. I think it's going to be barely fresh at 61.
Okay.
I went a little lower than that. I thought this was probably one once they found out what the actual thing was, they probably just let out a huge groan. And so I went with 44%.
Wow.
Nowhere near on The Happening level. The Happening, I watched that and I was like,
I haven't seen that one.
Furious when they revealed what the problem was.
Well, Josh, you were absolutely right with this being the last movie that they kind of liked for years. I think he's done some irrelevant shit since then. He's got decent scores, but this was the last good score that he got, and it was very fresh at 74% with the critics.
Wow.
What was the audience score?
I was surprised to see they were a little more haterish at a 67.
That's
but
interesting.
Still well received by all, which I enjoyed the hell out of the movie.
I did too. Yep.
All right. I guess I'm up to see who's going to win this. Obviously, it's not going to be me unless you guys really just screw this up.
That's why Kitty picked Short Circuit 2.
Oh, the Johnny Five story continues.
Johnny Five's Revenge.
I did go with a continuation of an earlier film. I didn't go with a sequel. I went with the third in a franchise. I went Bad Boys for Life.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Wait, that's 4, right? Or is that 3?
That's 4. I think that was third. I thought it was the third one. No,
you're probably right.
I know of Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. I don't know the other one in there, but Bad Boys for Life.
So was that
This
the
is-
latest one?
This
Yeah.
is the one that happened
2 years ago?
2 years. I want to say 2
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah.
I mean, the trailer for that, I mean, basically just stole every line from the previous two. It's the same premise. They give the same lines. Oh my god!
Well, they got the gang back together, so you gotta
Sure did.
give what the audience wants.
I'm in.
Okay.
All right, Josh is in the lead by a couple points, so let's go to him first.
I think I remember seeing this got really good reviews.
Okay.
Maybe, but I can't think if it was an audience score or if it was the critic score. It could be a fatal error, but I think I'm going 71.
Wow!
Okay. 71 from Josh.
Wow! I'm going the complete opposite direction.
You should. That's why it stood out to me. I was like,
I
what?
think. I mean, we all crave the critics to kind of get what the movie is going for with Fast and Furious and all that stuff. I feel like they're still just too head up their ass. So I went with Marcus Allen's 32.
All right.
I like
Well,
this.
This is a huge swing where our audience did love this.
Oh, no.
96.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
Audience with a 96 on
Let's
Bad Boys
go.
for Life.
Oh my God!
Critics?
Somebody
Not so much.
somebody was 6 points off on the critic score.
Oh,
I'm going to guess it
The
was a
critic
38.
score is 77.
wow!
Josh was right. The critics loved it.
Wow! I did not even give the movie a chance.
Man, I need to go watch that now. They hated this.
Apparently, the second one they all hated. Probably the third one's good.
Wow!
Unbelievable.
And Kitty edged me out right there at the end.
Yes,
I
he
did
did.
not see that coming with
Unreal. Huh.
Now I'm gonna watch that movie and get really mad about it.
Brian's already rotten. Get it out of here.
I'm gonna be a critic asshole about it.
Yeah. Well, that was another fun week of the waiver watch waiting game. Really enjoy that game, guys. We should keep doing it, I think.
I like
Let's
that game a lot.
see. Let's go to the waiver wire.
Did you?
Don't step on Scott Stapp. What would you
Sorry
like
about
to say, Kitty?
Did you get second or third, BK? Did you get 51 points? I thought I had 60. I missed by 30 on both of
I
them.
got
I got
Brian at
61.
61. Yeah,
Oh, 61. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
just edged them out. Brian went with an Alonzo Mourning 33. He'd have been in a lot better shape.
Mm-hmm.
Alonzo Mourning. Just follow Alonzo Mourning. He'll take you to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
The waiver wire this week. We had a fun draft last week with the disappears, and we had some pretty positive feedback on the preview of singling out Brian's hate on the Shane Company, and now it's a positive to me because every time I think about I hear a Shane Company ad come on the radio, it just makes me smile now because I know somewhere Brian is losing his mind.
You
Makes
got
me-
that right.
Makes me jolly in my gut. So this week we are going to draft our favorite TGIF shows, the old ABC running of the Friday night shows. I think it's 7 and 9 block. There is a listing on Wikipedia from an entirely too thorough listing of all the shows that have ever aired on Friday nights on ABC. So
Well,
we're
it
going to
molded
go.
so many of us. It raised us basically
Truly did. Yep.
through the years.
Yeah, very much so.
I was shocked to know how many of these shows I have never seen, and they were apparently on. I thought I was a TGIF disciple, and
Right.
shows I had never heard of.
Well, they were
Yeah,
after your
there was-
bedtime, Josh.
Well, that's a decent point. So this week we are going to draft our favorite shows from TGIF, creating our own TGIF, 4 picks apiece. And since I didn't get a poll put up, we're going to go with the results of the waiver watch waiting game. So I'm going to be going first, and then Kitty, and then Brian. 1 point really might have swung things.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like there's
could be big for me that second pick instead of the third pick.
That being said, it seems to be like there's maybe 3, maybe 4 obvious number 1 picks. So maybe Brian lucked out here on the turn. So
True.
Maybe.
I'm going to lead us off. My favorite TGIF show is not the GOAT TGIF show. So I'm gonna have to pick with my heart here,
Uh-huh.
and I got to go Boy Meets World.
Damn it!
Oh!
I think
What
What
an
are we
upset.
doing? What are we doing here? Why do I feel
longest
bad in the
runs.
waiver watch waiting game now? I needed I needed Corey and Topanga.
Well, we could talk maybe some trade action a little bit down the road. But yeah, I mean, Corey and Topanga, Minkus, Sean, Eric. You had a Lawrence brother in there in the end. Mr. Feeney's involved. They had a kid. You remember when they had a sister at the very end?
No.
They
had like
had
a young
little
sister.
They had a sister early. It was two different actresses played the sister.
Yes.
One girl played her like the first 1 or 2 seasons, and they brought someone else in later.
Love that.
Yeah,
I can't
always
get
good.
enough of that.
Always a fun move.
But yeah, Boy Meets World, #1 show in TGIF. I did not watch the reboot, the Girl Meets World. I don't know if I could stomach. I don't know if I could do that, but they did get a lot of the cast back for it. So Kitty's devastated with losing Boy Meets World.
You got him rattled.
That hurts.
He's on
Big board is broken.
full
That's
on
all I want. That's what
Lamar
I
Jackson.
wanted. That was what I wanted so
The
badly.
body language is not great on Kitty right now.
That's rude.
All right, what do you got for your second pick?
I don't even know. I thought for sure I'd get it. Should have
thought
known.
you-
Should have known that'd been right in your wheelhouse. That was probably
I mean,
more age appropriate for you
that
than
was
it was for me.
certain- yeah.
I'll say that. I
Certainly
probably
a bit
shouldn't have
more
been watching
coming
it
of
any
age.
longer when it was on. I'd already been way old enough to be worried about what shenanigans of 6th graders were.
Topanga, what a transformation,
Oh.
by the way.
Also on that show, Adam Scott
Yes. Yep.
was on Boy Meets World.
Yes, he was.
Didn't know that.
He wasn't. He
Right.
wasn't a recurring character. He was just a couple episodes, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did it. He was the high school kind of tough / bully /
Popular
Flash.
kid.
get anything guy. I don't know. What they're kind of a weird. Wasn't just a bully. It was kind of some other weird thing with him.
He's got range, so he could have been legitimately anything.
Yeah,
He should have been in the Notebook.
because I think they had him. I think it was the same character played by him and another guy after him.
Just like the daughter.
Yeah. All right. Now that I think I'm finally
You coming down?
not steaming
Flustered.
mad. I am going to take. I think probably has to be maybe even the #1 pick for most. I'm taking Family Matters.
Oh, I
Taking the
did not
Winslow.
think that was the #1.
The Winslow clan and old next door neighbor Steve Urkel.
Yeah.
I mean, just a ridiculous character. Just awful. And
Best
the whole-
catchphrase of all '90s TV.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Did I do that?
Got any
Just,
cheese? I mean,
any
he had
cheese?
he hit them all. He hit them all.
I would love to see the meeting that Jaleel White had with the producers of the show. Can I just not play a super nerd for a couple episodes, please? We do. So when I make a
Super
DNA,
cool.
the DNA machine in my basement, and so when I get inside it, it rearranges me to make me cool.
Stefan
Stefan
Urkel.
Urkel. Laziest writing of all time on that Urkel part. I can get on board with the Stefan, but going with the Urkel is a bridge too far.
That's so good. That's hilarious.
I love with basically every episode, Carl Winslow comes home from a 12, 14-hour shift. And all he does is want to just relax and be left alone. And they just constantly just badger him.
Steve.
Urkel just constantly bothering him. And then have the nice Eddie Winslow and his friend Geraldo Faldo. He's a real ignoramus.
Yep. One of the best crossover events of TV when the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dad comes on. I don't know if you guys ever saw that outtake. Yeah.
I don't think I did.
Yep. Maybe YouTube that bad boy. It was
need
quite a feat.
I like that.
Solid.
So you guys are just going to let the #1
That's where I'm
overall
at. Like,
just fall right into my lap.
Brian,
I guess so. I don't know what #1 you're talking about. I thought
it's
those
number
are
one
mine.
with a bullet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's #1 and it's Full House.
Yeah.
No,
I
Jesse
mean-
and the Rippers.
Jesse and the Rippers. I mean, that was like reason number 1,000 why it was.
Sure.
Every character in this was perfectly cast, I felt like. And You
That's
just
true.
felt like you were part of the family, even with Kimmy Gibbler coming over and being the annoying neighbor. I mean, you just felt that annoyance by her, and I love that part. I mean, Aunt Becky and Uncle Jesse, two of the dreamiest people on TV at the time.
100%. Arguably, still two of the dreamiest people on television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or-
So
One in jail cell, one on TV.
Yeah. Jail
True.
cell.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
give me the easy layup pick. I'm gonna go in Full House, my first pick. And
We need to draw the line on what daughter. Are we more of a DJ? Are we a Stephanie or a Michelle Tanner podcast?
oh,
I thought the youngest daughter was annoying as all hell every time.
You got it, dude.
So I hated that little kid so much.
I mean,
It-
she was a little
it's-
too
I
big
was-
for her britches.
Yeah, it was probably irrational how much I hated the youngest daughter on that show.
Understandable. Yeah.
I think I'm Team DJ.
I think I
Yeah.
was Team Stephanie.
I think I'm Team DJ.
It's probably an age thing.
Stephanie's always whining. She was a nerd.
How rude.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
get out
rude.
of here.
Probably
You
like swords and Marvel movies. And
getting up in my business. That's what rude is. Get out of here.
DJ had real problems. Not these kid problems.
That's right.
Interesting.
Team DJ all the way.
All right. 2-1.
Sorry.
So it
Not
turns
here
out
for
we're a
rants about
DJ
that.
Tanner podcast from now on. Brian, second round.
Wow. I'm getting another huge staple of TGIF here.
Yes,
And
you
it's step by step.
are. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm getting Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers,
Mhm.
which between Aunt Becky and Suzanne Summers, I think I have almost 95% of guys our age's first MILFs they ever thought about.
Bills for sure. Yeah.
I mean, two of the hottest moms that were on TV in our childhood.
Yep.
And so, I mean, anytime you get that and you get the Code Man, Cody was just like the big idiot, like surfer guy.
Oh.
Just total airhead. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
the
I just
Code Man
looked.
just
I just looked it up. This show had 160 episodes.
not enough.
When it showed how like
Blows
where
my
they were,
mind.
they had a huge run.
Yeah.
They were set in Wisconsin, right? Is that right?
Yes. I believe
Who
it
would
was.
thunk that a sitcom set in Wisconsin would do well?
That's fair.
Or again, that 70s show.
Yeah, true. Got me there.
Wow.
So-
I can't believe I got those two.
It's a big. I was Team Dana on that of the three daughters.
I was going to
there.
ask, because like that's another pretty solid trio of daughters, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was Team Al. Give me Al.
Team Dana.
I'm Team Code Man.
Respectable.
Team Code Man.
He got some potential domestic violence issues here.
Oh, really?
In the last few years.
Allegedly?
Yeah, he's got some
Allegedly.
possible
He's a,
issues there.
a martial artist, and he did not keep it on the mats, if you know what I mean.
Mm,
Allegedly,
okay.
obviously.
Wow.
Make you look at Code Man a little differently, but he was a legend on TGIF days.
Okay.
1,000,000%. Kitty, second pick.
I'm going back quite a ways for my second pick.
Okay.
Like one of the first couple years of the TGIF lineup based on the link we sent out. I'm going Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, loved. I mean, Bob Euchre, raising the
Euchre.
family.
Yeah.
His wife's trying to get a law degree. Need a housekeeper to keep these kids in line. Just Bob Euchre. He's so good. And they always have the unseen Huffnagel neighbors always causing Wesley issues.
Yep.
I just love that the butler was always like the man of reason and the smartest one in the room at all times.
Yes. Oh yeah. And just the dad or Bob Euchre would always just get into stupid situations constantly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, smallest house ever to have a butler, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, basically they just had the living room, a kitchen, and then the bedrooms. That was it.
Yeah. He was
That
really
shit
always
was
didn't-
tiny.
Mr.
They
Belvedere.
did not need a manservant.
No, they didn't. They had plenty of hands on deck. I'm gonna go with my next pick, also a staple of TGIF. Dinosaurs.
Okay.
I hand up. They used to scare me. I did not like the puppets. I thought they were just not
I can see
okay. Eventually, I figured it out that they weren't real, so I started to enjoy myself a little bit more. And boy, it was also great one-liners with "I'm the baby, gotta love me," and "Not the mama." I mean, the
That
baby
baby-
dinosaur was a legend of TGIF as well.
That baby pissed me off too. I
Sure, that
really
makes a lot of
don't like
sense.
small. I really don't like small creatures.
That's starting to come into full frame there.
Except corgis.
Every time that, yeah, right there you go. That's it. That was the one. Every time that damn baby dinosaur would say "not the mama," it just infuriate me.
Sure, that's totally fair.
Oh man, it was so upsetting.
But when you look around it now, you watch an episode now, I feel like you get the humor a little bit more and you start to appreciate it a little bit more as well.
But yeah, I might need
Feel
to go
like
back
it's-
and revisit dinosaurs.
It's kind of like a real animation Flintstones almost,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
And
Yeah,
I was shocked that Who's the Boss was never on
Yeah.
TGIF because it fit
Yep.
right in the wheelhouse of all this stuff.
yep. I thought so. Yeah, for sure.
Or Alf. Alf probably way too early.
Didn't see
Yeah.
growing pains on that list either. That was disappointing.
Yep. Can't live without Boner. My third pick, we talked about it a lot in the chat, but Hanging with Mr. Cooper is coming to my TGIF lineup. I honestly could not tell you a lot of it. I had to ask a lot of questions, a little more research to kind of refresh my mind, and I still probably couldn't tell you. Mark Curry's in it, and what's her face is really really attractive in it.
Holly Robinson Pete
Yep,
is a total smoke.
she is still a smoke.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
really really good looking. Also, Omar Gooding was in that.
I was gonna say the better
better
actor in
Gooding.
the Gooding family.
Raven Simone was in it.
That's
yeah,
right. Forgot.
I hate her. I hate her. I really don't like her.
Dawn Lewis, little from a different world, was in that one.
That's before my time.
The little neighbor kid that he was annoyed by, but then he started to like him. You remember that storyline?
was
I don't.
that. I vaguely
I think his name was like
remember that.
Kenny or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't. That's not ringing any bells.
But yeah, he ended up liking him after a while.
Did they adopt him or something?
I don't know if it got that far. But Holly Robinson and Mark Curry were just roommates, I think, for the first few seasons, and then they ended up getting together and getting
Sure they did.
engaged by the end.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I must have quit my hang with Mr. Cooper watching. Didn't finish that one out.
But that was definitely the must-watch on our list in the Kaiser household
Yes, it was.
That was good. I did watch it. Just
because
didn't
they had
finish
some
it.
basketball in it because he was a PE
Yeah.
teacher and basketball guy.
Yep.
So they had
I was
checked
talking about
all the
him.
boxes.
He's always talked about the tryout for the Golden State Warriors
Yeah.
Yep.
all the time.
He got robbed, man. Tim Hardaway was in that show apparently as Tim Hardaway.
Nice.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Cameos.
Chris Mullins. There's your Golden
All
State
your Golden State
Warriors.
boys
Yep.
coming in there.
Makes sense.
I like it. Kitty, back to you.
Yeah, I'm getting a real steal here. I'm
Don
taking
Cheadle was in that 2 episodes. Sorry.
early in his career, but back to my steal of the draft. 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place.
I figured
What's
it was gonna
happening?
be you.
I knew you guys knew I was taking that one.
Yep.
I almost tried to snipe it out from under you just to create a little drama.
But just to see me throw my phone across the room.
I should have thought about that. My heart's not in the Hanging with Mr. Cooper, but as much as you overreacted to Boy Meets World, it would have been such a cherry on top if I'd
I
have
just
gotten
take my
2 guys and a
headphones
girl.
out,
Just,
walk
yeah.
off, walk off set.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds. I mean,
This was-
even if I haven't seen an episode of that, but Ryan Reynolds is all I need to say.
The show is hilarious. So Ryan Reynolds played a medical student. His roommate was the architect, and then the girl with the pizza place was like she worked PR for this horrible chemical company. So she always had to spin natural, like just another toxic
That old
waste spill.
chestnut. Yeah.
So that was always like
Classic
storylines
90s
there.
trope.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that was always fun. All right, it's really good. I think actually the guy that worked in the pizza place was Angela's dad on Boy Meets World, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yep.
I think he was the same guy.
Interesting. Okay.
That guy's making the rounds on
Yeah.
some TGIF shows. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds, early Reynolds, just solid.
That was one I never even tried to get into for whatever reason.
Yeah. I think I had gone past TGIF at that point too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was much later. I think
Apparently-
that was maybe when I was in college.
That sounds
When it
right.
was
Why
on-
were you watching
Yeah.
that in college?
I'm not going out just getting prime drinking before I go out.
Yes, that's
Get
true.
drunker. It's only 8:30, or 8 o'clock on a Friday in college.
Boy Meets World is on. Brian, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to pick this on a technicality because it showed up on the list, even though it moved networks after one season. But Making the
Oh,
Band
yep.
started on ABC Friday nights.
The best season.
It gave us
Yeah.
O-Town.
It gave us O-Town. It did give us
Oh,
O-Town.
okay.
And I mean, eventually it moved to MTV where we got The Band, and we
The
got
band.
Danity Kane.
The band season might have been the best season.
Well,
of
and
Making
The Band gave us the Chappelle Show skit
Yes.
about
right.
Cambodian
Go-
breast milk, and
Go get me.
just shut down the
Yeah.
studio.
Shut it down.
So I mean,
You're too
Making
close
the
to me,
Band,
man.
they gave us so much gold, and this was back before we had DVRs or TiVos, so it was appointment TV to watch the new episode of Making the Band. So
Yeah.
I got to stick with my heart there, stick with a good reality show and good entertainment. So
Mhm.
yeah, no brainer for me.
Plus, I mean, O-Town had some hits.
Oh yeah,
Nothing at all.
they were in
Liquid
like that-
Dreams.
that Colorado mansion where they had the jacuzzi outside.
Yeah. Jacuzzi nights.
It seems like every episode had them in the jacuzzi at night.
Yep. Always jacuzzi.
Oh man, it's building hits over here.
You are.
So number 4 pick.
You almost wanted the third pick because there was 4
Yeah.
lockdowns. I mean,
I mean,
4
you guys just
obvious
gave me 2
ones.
staples, and now I'm going to take 2 that maybe are not traditional picks.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to take this last show for one specific episode, and that's Wife Swap. And Wife Swap gave us King Curtis. King Curtis was maybe the greatest TV character ever made, and it was this little fat-ass kid with a twang that all he did was eat chicken nuggets for every meal
And bacon.
and bacon.
For every meal.
And
oh my goodness.
when they got wife swapped, this lady came in and was going to clean up his diet, and my God, King Curtis wasn't having it. And he said, bacon's good for me. And she started making all these rules, and she said, she acts like she's the queen, and we're the sorry people. And he packed his bags up and moved out at
That-
one point to go to grandma's.
That move out scene was TV gold. It was so good.
Well, when he
That's-
decides to put his foot down, like, listen here, I'm sorry to tired of making deals because I'm losing them.
I'm always losing them.
But if you haven't seen the King Curtis episode,
I remember now some of those bits. I think they must have shut them on the soup, I would guess.
Yeah.
I do remember him.
they're still out
I
there on
would
YouTube.
bet.
YouTube.
I'd
Yeah,
bet
okay.
the soup is all over King Curtis.
I gotta think so.
When I was researching the old clip from it, he was also in an episode of Pawn Stars. As just like as a grown up, he's like almost, I think he's a teenager at that point, and he's selling some old like antique thing. And it was wild to see him grown up because I just want King Curtis to be that little.
I need you
fat
guys
ass.
to help me in the kitchen to fill these.
We can do
I
it.
don't like this crap.
Definitely no cheese in the can. Very happy to be throwing this away.
Bacon.
No, I want my bacon. I gotta tell you something. Bacon is good for me. This is very
You're
mean.
gonna be going to the grocery store.
She thinks out of the blue she's a smart little girl that she can do whatever she wants. No, that's not how she can do it in our family. She's act like she's the queen and we're the sorry people.
God, he's so good. He's TV gold.
He really is.
Oh God. So there are other fine shows on my list, but I got to get King Curtis in there.
That's a good one.
That is very
Big. That's a
good.
huge pick. That's a dark horse pick right there.
Galaxy Brain. Yep. You won a lot of votes with just King Curtis. All right, Kitty. Try to top that.
I'm going to try and top it with someone probably smaller than King Curtis, and I'm going Webster.
Webster. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Love me some Emmanuel Lewis.
Mhm.
That show was great. Had that dumb waiter in the house. We'd always try to. There's always somehow a bad guy in the house, and he'd always get in that dumb waiter.
Yeah.
And go up
What
to the
was
next floor.
that? Why
There
is there
was
so many
all-
bad people?
I don't know. It scarred me. Like, why is there's going to be a bad guy looking for me everywhere I go? And I'm a little
Between
kid.
that and Unsolved Mysteries, I don't know how we didn't grow up with every ounce of anxiety ever in the universe.
It's so true.
And I wondered why not everyone in the world had a dumbwaiter. Like, it
Yeah,
seemed like
yeah.
the coolest
should
thing in the
all-
world.
Everyone should have this in their house. If you don't have
Mhm.
this, house is stupid.
What are you doing?
Mom, Dad, get me a dumb waiter.
When I was a kid, I was like, when I get a house when I'm older, it is 1,000% going to have a dumbwaiter. And guess what, guys? I don't have a dumbwaiter.
Don't have a dumb
You don't have one.
I've got
Well,
a
sounds like
laundry
you got
chute
a,
upstairs, so that's
You got a
close.
project for yourself there.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's right. Got to figure out where a chute can go.
Yeah, exactly.
A
Apparently-
Brian-sized
It's
dumb
not
waiter.
just not just. I mean, that's got to be a very, very sturdy
Oh
thing
yeah.
too, because there's a 65-pound kid getting inside this thing every episode, seemingly.
Oh, and there was
How
a
the
there was a
rope and
King
the
of Queens
platform doesn't-
episode where they're looking at houses and he finds like this bachelor pad and he's so excited about the dumbwaiter. And I got to
Uh-huh.
think that's because of Webster.
He's a Webster
Yeah.
fan
He
too.
grew up watching
That's
that
not bad. Yeah. I like to connect those dots.
because he was trying to sell Carrie on buying that house just specifically for the dumbwaiter. And I totally felt that logic.
Oh, that's
I
good.
wonder they put the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on Airbnb, their mansion you could stay in it. I thought it was like $30
really?
a night. But I think Will Smith somehow got involved with it and he's the one put it on Airbnb and it's for charity. They need to put the Webster house on there for the dumbwaiter in and of itself. I would stay the
definitely.
dumbwaiter for $30 a night.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
We just sit there and pass food back and forth all night.
Uh-huh.
Well, then they up and move to that apartment complex at some point.
Yeah.
One of the seasons. Why did you get stupid idiots? Move away from that dumb waiter.
Was that a Jefferson's crossover?
I don't know. They just decided they just left that house at some point.
Huh.
Guessing someone paid a pretty penny for it and moved in and said no more filming of Webster in this house.
It's probably us in a time machine being like, where's that dumbwaiter? Here's all my money.
Must be.
I'm going with my final pick, and it's also technicality. I like this. The ABC Friday Night Movie is my pick for the TGI Friday. These were always featuring some of the movies that our parents were the original media pirates with their VCR recording of these movies, the ABC Friday Night movies.
Yeah.
Number one with a bullet was the Brat Patrol.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody, like the internet kind of wiped it clean,
Mhm.
but the whole movie is on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
So I did catch a little about 45 minutes of Brat Patrol today, and it
It's a cartoon, or is it not?
No.
Sean Astin's in it. Laura from Family Matters is in it.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of like the Goonies grew up a little bit.
The Goonies
Okay.
were on a military base.
Yeah.
That's pretty good description of what happens. They uncover some kind of shenanigans going off on base that shouldn't be happening.
I
And they
remember the
got-
vending machines had fruit in them.
Uh-huh.
They had
And all you gotta
apples
do
and
is-
oranges.
You hit
Yeah.
it, you caught it. Boom.
We
Vending
watched
machine.
that movie probably a million times
A million
because
times.
it was on. It's probably still at our mother's house on VHS with
Yep.
a handwritten Brat Patrol that we
Oh,
recorded
yeah.
on Friday night
all
movies.
those, all the
Pete's
movies at the
Dragon.
home with the
Buttercream
labels, bring
Gang.
on labels.
Butter or the bed knobs and broomsticks. The apple dumpling gang was
Apple
also
Dumpling
part of that. So yeah, the ABC
Brat
Friday
Patrol.
brought a lot of good movies to the Kaiser household that I'm just gonna have to draft with nostalgia in mind only.
I
I
like
gotta
it.
think. I gotta think the movie Gus was on there at some point. That
That
field goal
sounds
kicking,
familiar. Yeah.
field goal kicking mule or donkey. So good. Very
Before-
sports. It's a sports related movie, so it's a great one to watch. You know.
Before touchdown air, bud. There was
Yes, before-
there was the
exactly.
field goal kicking donkey.
Field goal donkey.
Might be a little bit more believable.
Right.
So we've uncovered Balto as a fraud. Maybe
Yep.
Airbud now the new fraud.
Could be.
I like it.
We'll have to consult rants on that. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to the best bet. Hey, it's the best bet.
It's a good song.
It's getting better and better, Josh.
We did really good. Speaking of doing really good, we did really good again another week. 3-1 last week. Kitty, the lone loser of last week. And you gave us 2 or 3 different bets, and I think you went over.
But I got caught up in Minshew mania.
Yeah, Minshew fever.
Week.
Yep.
Yeah. Caught a bad.
Even despite that, even your 1-2 record, despite all that, we're still 9-3 as a podcast in the NFL season. So
making you rich.
Good. Pretty impressive.
We're doing really, really good so far. Rants, I don't think he ever gave us his pick.
No,
I didn't hear him give us one, or didn't see one in the chat.
just give them the Cowboys.
Hate to see it. Yeah, the Cowboys.
I was going to take them.
Okay.
Were you? Okay.
Let's
So,
go.
Kitty, what's your best bet?
Give me Cowboys minus 4.5 against Cleveland Browns.
It's not bad.
I don't feel like. I mean,
Browns had
Cleveland's
a get right game last week.
I feel like Cleveland's kind of terrible.
Yeah, they are.
Cowboys. I think the Cowboys need this game a lot more than Cleveland does at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though the NFC East looks to be just absolutely atrocious up and down, you don't need you don't want to drop these games at home. So I think the Cowboys have to come out, and I think their offense has been a little too Dak heavy early in the year. I think they might do some leaning on Zeke Elliott this week. So I look for him to have a big game and see Dallas taking this one by a touchdown or more.
Okay. I can't argue much with that. I could probably see it going. Well, I think the most likely scenario is probably Dallas covering. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah,
Brian.
I think so. I'm totally with him on that one. I think they cannot afford to lose this game. They can't afford to even make it close. So I think they're going to stomp them. So I love that.
If they lose that, what the hell happened to Dallas? I mean,
that's what you're looking at, and that's why I think they just can't afford it. So I'm totally with Kitty's logic there, but I'm not going with numbers here. I'm just going with a feel. And I know the Chargers had a letdown game last week after nearly knocking off the Chiefs. They really had a letdown game, lost the Panthers. They come back this week to the Bucks, and I think they're going to be refocused, and they're going to get up for playing this game. They're getting 7.5 against Tampa, and I think Tampa's not that great still, and I think the Chargers have a very good team, and I think what we saw that D-line do against the Chiefs, we're going to see do a lot against Tampa. I think Tom's going to be under pressure a lot of the day. It did suck after I made this pick. I saw Chris Harris went on the IR today.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks to lose one of your best corners after they've already lost Derwin James at safety. But I still think the Chargers can keep this close and may just win it outright.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It kind of just depends on what happens to that Bucs defense. It could be nasty like it was last week, or it could be completely passive almost.
Yeah, and I haven't seen if I don't really even care if it's Tyrod or Herbert. I think they're both very capable of going on the road and keeping this close. And maybe
if Herbert didn't show what he needed to show against the Chiefs, he still had a really good week last week too.
Yeah.
I really don't know what Tyrod is going to be able to bring to the table that Herbert's not already showing you, if not more.
Right.
Yeah.
Anthony Lynn. That's why he gets paid the big bucks to make those decisions. But
come on, man.
We'll see. My best bet is Buffalo -3 against the Raiders. They go to Las Vegas. The Raiders are frauds. That was a gross game last week. And Buffalo is looking nuts. They put the Rams on the ropes and then let them back in and then put them away. But I don't think the Raiders can keep up with them. I think the Rams were a lot more high-powered than the Raiders can be even at their best. So give me Buffalo -3 in Vegas.
I love it.
I don't like going against home dogs, so I can't back you too hard on that one, Josh. But
that's fine.
You're 2-1 so far. So what do I know?
I'm doing all right. Yeah,
we're going 3-0 this week, boys.
3-0. So that's going to do it. Best bet was our final segment of the shenanigans, the final segment of the week. Once again, all you stink pissers out there, take a second and give yourselves a pat on the back because we really, really appreciate you joining us every week. We could not thank you enough for what you do for us and kind of give us fuel to keep doing this for you. We have fun doing them. We hope you enjoy it continuously, but we do wish that you would share it with a friend, give it to somebody you know, sports fans, TGIF friends. We all know at least one TGIF friend. We've all bonded over something on TGIF. So
Aunt Becky.
give them this podcast. Maybe they'll get hooked. But we're also on all the social medias at Clearing Waivers per usual. Give us a rate and review us on the iTunes. Let us know what we're doing good. Let us know what we're doing bad. There's a lot of negativity and tension in the world right now, so we're just trying to hope we bring some kind of laughter to your day, brighten it up a little bit more. But we always appreciate interact with you guys. But hope you have a great week. We appreciate everything once again for Kitty and Brian and myself. Rants also. Ta-ta for now.
The day is done. Now the night has begun. Nerves in a restless crowd. The burning sun. Now nowhere to be found. Deep underground. 'Cause I have faith that nobody else can protect you, no. A page is burning, we'll all be dead under virgin snow. I have faith that nobody else can protect you, no. A page is burning, we'll all be dead under virgin snow. So hold your body close to the flames. Don't go so haughty, walking away. Hold your body close to the flames. Don't go so haughty, walking away. A loaded gun. Pressed against my brow, 'cause I wonder how all this undone. Holding fast to a vow, 'cause I laugh aloud. 'Cause I have faith that nobody else can protect you, no. A page is burning, we'll all be dead under virgin snow. I have faith that nobody else can protect you, no. A page is burning, we'll all be dead under virgin snow. So hold your body close to the flames. Gone goes the Whiting, walking away your body. Close to the flame.